Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is a Cuppa Creativity in the Literary Lounge, a place where writing doesn't have to suck. I am your host, Kynda Faythe, and founder of Faythe Publishing, Inc. Today, I would like to talk about setting. What setting is, why it's important, and how can we invoke a nice vivid description of vivid setting and how this can actually help out your writing. But before I do, let's do a couple of things. My first out is our shout outs. And of course, it has to go to the Advanced Learning Library in Wichita, Kansas, and their AV studio, which I absolutely love coming here. The second one is Faythe Publishing, Inc. We're a nonprofit publishing company who strives to serve underrepresented voices through publication, writing programs, and writing services. We support the writing journey. That means from evoking, setting, to brainstorming, to editing, to publishing, and then helping with the celebration and the aftermath of publication. The great part about that is that together, collectively, we are the audience. We are the storytellers, and then we are also the legacy. I love that every talent in this venture matters. I love that every single voice matters and that every single story deserves to be told. It inspires people and then lets me also be inspired. But before I get into what inspires me, let's get on to the mantra. Yes? Come on, let's get ready. Okay. Today I will face fear. Today I will be brave. Today I will struggle. Today I will grow. Today I will get through this. Huzzah! Whoop whoop! Seriously. Yes, jazz hands and all. Jazz hands and clapping. So today I'd like to discuss how to invoke a vivid setting. A setting essentially, I think we all know what this is, but a setting immerses your reader, right? It just plunges them into a specific time period. Maybe it's a location or just this vivid, imagined world. I mean, this can be real. This could be sci-fi. It could be fantasy. It can be whatever. So the setting I love that it's so versatile. So not only can it contribute to a plot, it can also help out with themes or motives. It can also provide like social or like a cultural context. So I'm going to give you a couple examples of some of the settings, like in some of my favorite books. One is The Swimmer. It's a short story by John Cheever. I've used it in creative writing. I love the way it has. So essentially, you have this guy who decides to, instead of going home, he's visiting a friend, he decides to swim through everybody's backyard pool to get to his house, which I think is kind of cool. But the way that the author uses the setting is that it evokes a certain time and how a time of the main character's life changes, right? From youth to aging to his relationships with his family to, so like he has pristine water when he is diving through one neighbor's house, but then by the time he gets to his own house, there's leaves and it's dirty and everything's abandoned and such and such. So I think that is really, really cool how the author used that. Another example, and we all know that I teach a horror class, and one of a short story that I really dig, and I believe it's Stephen King's favorite. It's called The Survivor Type. And obviously setting is extremely important because of the plot. And essentially you have a doctor or surgeon who gets in a plane wreck and he is stranded on a deserted island. He's the only thing there. There's no food, there's no water, but there is, I believe, 80 pounds of heroin. I'm not going to tell you anything else that happens in the story because it's amazing. But I will tell you that the survivor type, right? How do you survive in this particular setting? Stephen King, clever guy. Another one, and I'm trying to give you some different viewpoints on some of the setting. One of my favorite series is by Diana Gabaldon called The Outlander, like the Outlander series. And it kind of, it travels back in time. And so you have a nurse who I believe is in World War II. I don't know, it's been a while since I've read it, so please give me some grace here. and she is taking a break, maybe not necessarily a honeymoon, but kind of like a getaway with her husband, which it's okay, not the most exciting relationship, blah, blah, blah. And she ends up going to like through these stones. I always kind of envision a kind of like a Stonehenge kind of a thing, right? That part isn't important. Anyway, she is transported to Scotland, or the same area where she's at, but 200 years prior. And wow, just wow. I love the detail. I mean, the author she's so thorough about, everything from the clothing to the way people smelled to the way that people would heal themselves, how they would eat. And so the way that she uses the setting and how the characters interact with the setting and this time period, I think is just delicious. It's just, I love just letting myself get lost into the area. So how do I do this? How do you do this? Now, keep in mind, this is not just for prose. You can use these kind of techniques for pretty much any kind of writing. Maybe not academic writing. I personally like reading that kind of thing, but this is mostly going to be like your poetry and prose. So the first thing that I would suggest that you do, details, 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 right? So if you're telling me it rained, and tell me why. Tell me how. Was it cold? Was it dank? Was it musty? Was it hot? Was it acid rain? Right? What time frame was I in? So give me as many details as possible. So that way it is, when I'm reading something, you as the writer, the author, you are painting a vivid picture in my brain. Right? There's lots of space there. You can do lots of things there. So I trust you. I trust you as a creator of content to give me tons of details. Just spell out what it all looks like. Another way that you can do this is learn from examples. I preach all the time, good writers read. And you're not going to tell me anything new, guys. I sucked at reading. I was bad at reading. I had to have certain teachers for reading. I struggled a great, great deal. And now I read all the time. I'm probably like one of the fastest readers in my little circle. And I read everything because you can learn from everything. So make sure that you're reading examples. One example with regards to setting that kind of pops in my brain. I love teaching this story. It's called The Scarlet Ibis. I cannot think of the author right off the top of my head. Anyway, it takes place in the South. And you have two boys. You have an older brother and a younger brother, and the younger brother is physically disabled. And the way that the author uses, there's tons of symbols. So, oh my gosh, the symbolism is so heavy. And he uses a lot of colors to describe your setting. And the bird, the scarlet ibis, right? Scarlet, red, possible, I don't know, that you can think of other things that are red. I'm not going to give away the story because it's freaking brilliant. So definitely think about that. So again, learn from examples. Think about that most vivid scenery, right? Also think about maybe time. Now, I'm not saying that everybody has to write a story that you go back in time, but think about your time era. Think about your time frame of when things happen, because there is a time, see what I did there? There is the opportune time, the perfect time in which to write a story. So for example, if you have, I don't know, one of my favorites of all time is To Kill a Mockingbird. It's a rough book. The topic is hard, but honestly, would it make it, it's not going to be nearly as impactful if you said it, let's say in 1990, as opposed to 1930. Right. So think about how it can help impact this message that you're trying to, give your readers. So you have details, you have examples, contributing to the plot, thinking about your effects of time. And I've mentioned this a little bit, are your symbols. Think about your symbols. Does the scenery mean something? Does your setting mean something? Does it take place in New Orleans and it's all about witchcraft and voodoo? Yeah, I bet it could probably go together, right? Your symbols, again, you can use colors. The great thing about symbols is it's all subjective. A symbol, it just represents something else, and you're not going to have an actual 100% true representation of an object. So, for example, if I gave you, what is a symbol for Valentine's Day? Oh, it's a heart. Okay. What else? Red roses, the color red or pink, or do you see what I'm saying? All of those can represent something. But on the flip side, that same symbol could be something else. So, for example, what if I wanted to discuss the American flag? Especially with politics coming up, you see this all over the place, whether it's a flag in the back of a truck, it could be a flag on a lapel pin, it could be like during the Star Spangled Banner, it could be during the Pledge of Allegiance. What if you see the flag upside down? What if you see the flag being burned? Do you see what I'm saying? All of these messages still contribute to your story. So I think some of those details and those symbols that you can use within the setting can help, again, clarify your message. And then finally, this will be a relatively short podcast because, one, I've got some reading to do, and two, I want to give you some challenges. Use your senses, right? If you're like, oh, I don't know what to write, seriously, go through your senses. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Is it hot? Is it sweaty? Is it damp? Do you feel a wind? Is it a breeze? Is it cold? Right? Maybe it could be your sixth sense. Maybe the hairs on the back of your neck are prickling up. So think about your 5 senses and how that can deepen your description. So here's what I'm going to do. So we've already talked about what setting is, and we also know why it's important. And I've given you several ideas about how you can be descriptive and make that setting as vivid as possible. So 1, please try out these exercises. Here's my call to action. I would like you to actually post something. Maybe I can make a poll. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I would like you to post something today at the end of the video in the comments. I would like you, very first thought, I don't want you to edit it. What is the very first scene that you can think of that comes to mind? So if I close my eyes, I think of right now, I don't know, the first thing that came to my mind was Louisville, because I usually go there every year. I'd like to go to Louisville and Millionaires Row, and I see a really, really big mansion built in the late 1900s, right? Like 1880s to 1900. And I think of it being hot and sweaty and dusk, and the ghosts are coming out. That's the very first thing I have. It could be something else. So that's what I would like you to do, right? Think about what your setting is, why it's important, and how you can use it. And then how you're going to use those descriptions to make a vivid memory in a reader's mind. And then, of course, finally, post the very first thing that comes to mind. I'd love to know what it is. I would like to know, I mean, maybe it's your favorite couch. Maybe it is, I don't know, a frigid, cold room and you're ready to sleep in a cave. I don't know. So please post it. I would love to see what you think. Let's make this a little bit more interactive. So I challenge you to join my little creative train, my creative crew. Let's just see what we come up with, and maybe we'll come up with an amazing story that only can happen in Kansas. I'm Kynda Faythe with Cuppa Creativity in the Literary Lounge, a place where writing doesn't have to suck. I look forward to reading your thoughts. Until next time.